Day 8 of the 40-Day Soul Fast by Dr. Cindy Trims. Today's chapter focuses on the power of empowerment. And hey, I don't really want to go into details talking about this chapter, but I rather thought, you know what, to ask reflective questions today in the main chapter and the subtext as well. Just before I go into these reflective questions, what is the definition of empowerment? It means to encourage and support the ability to do something. The first question is, do I recognize and celebrate the unique strength of others? I like to say yes, because by God's grace, when I'm aware of certain weaknesses in my life and I can see the strength of someone else, I'm able to celebrate that strength. Even sometimes, how do I celebrate that strength? It's in my moment of comparison, because as humans, we can fall into that state of comparing ourselves with others. But thank God that by His grace now I'm able to identify that instead of comparing myself to someone, feeling like someone else is stronger than me in another area that I may be weak in, because what happens sometimes is that when we tend to not embrace the strengths of others, that's because of a form of insecurity that we have within us. We cannot be strong at everything. And it's even okay for someone to have the same strength as you. The second question is, what scriptures or affirmations remind me of my inner power? For me, the very first one would be, do not fear, I will hold you by the hand and I will strengthen you. That scripture, anytime fear wants to try and, come to the surface, when I think about that scripture, when I say that scripture, it brings a certain sense of calm to me. Or even when I find myself comparing myself to others, I'm able to remember that, I'm God's masterpiece and, God created every single one of us differently. And I can't really remember the scripture, but there's a scripture that talks about how we're all different. Just like, our body has different parts. It's the way God has created all of us, every single one of us on earth in different parts. We're all unique in our own way. So I feel like for me, embracing myself, embracing my strength, embracing my quirks reminds me of my inner power, remembering who I am in God and what God does say about me. When depending on validation from God, you also have to be ready and open to God's chastisement. You have to be open to when He starts calling out your weaknesses. You have to be humble enough to see when He starts showing you those weaknesses, so He can come in His supernatural power to strengthen you in the area which you're weak. The subtext was about balance. What is balance? It helps us navigate different aspects of our lives without losing ourselves to the extreme. Have you ever met a person who can be quite extreme? Either they're all or nothing. That's me. I'm an all or nothing person. I don't tend to do in between. This behavior applies itself in my daily life, my relationship with people, with God, at work, in everything that I do. It's all or nothing. So I find that when I'm out of balance, I'm unable to actually fellowship with God, because it's like every other thing has now clouded me. I'm super busy with so many things, with content, with studying, with work, and this and that and that. And it's like, I don't have that time for my source, which is God, which, God is the one who replenishes me, and gives me that energy and that strength to go out there, to be able to do what I need to do anyways. So when you're out of balance, when you feel burnt out, when you have that spiritual disconnection with God, you're not reading your word, you're not worshiping, you're not having moments with Him, you're feeling physical symptoms like you feel muscle tensions, back aches, cramps, headaches as such. Recently, I actually came to that space and I was like, I feel like, I'm probably doing a bit too much and I need that time to rest, because I felt like I've been giving my energy to so many things in so many places. So the reflective questions that I've got here is, how can I remind myself to slow down when life gets busy? And I think for me, it's literally disconnecting. The moment I feel that busy, I just disconnect and sleep. Especially when you're doing a lot of work, you're doing emotional work, psychological work, you're working in the gym, you're doing so many other things as well. When you're that busy, it's so important to take that time out. Sometimes it's okay to actually take a day and do nothing. Just lay in bed, just sleep, take your vitamins and rest. Disconnect from information, from videos, from podcasts, even sometimes from reading. So I'm inviting you to reflect on these questions with me as well. But hey, thank you so much for tuning in to day 8. I will see you in day 9.